everyone. Coach Sullivan here again with MGS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you, and non-subscribers, I really hope I tease you into pushing the button. Just completed my 38th year coaching football, and I was a defensive coordinator, but over that time I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, longtime head coach, and all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, what I'd like to talk to you about now, 3-4, is what our what I would call, our empty playlist introduction. Okay, and so our empty playlist is going to incorporate all the different things I'm going to talk to you about today, okay? And I want to just introduce you to how we look at defending empty sets. And those are usually either a 3x2 or a 4x1. Okay, I mean, you could really experience something exotic and have a 5x0, but I haven't come across that yet. We do have a plan for it if it ever does happen, though. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to go through the key terms that would relate to an empty formation, and then key terms relative to our empty playlist in terms of how the different ways we would defend empty formations and what that's predicated upon, okay? And then over here, I'm just going to go over with you what we consider to be essentially the four basic empty formations, okay? And then there are derivations to both that I'll go over with you briefly, but this again is the introduction to our entire empty playlist, so let's begin. So over here, first key term is the word empty itself, right? So an empty, it's the quarterback only in the backfield, right? It's not a 1-back, 2-back, or 3-back set. It's the quarterback, right? The backfield structure is the quarterback. Okay, and obviously there'll never be nobody back there. So when it's just the quarterback, to us, that's how you start to define what an empty set is. Okay, it's empty of any running backs. Okay, another way to say it and look at it. So now number two, when it comes to alignment of an empty set, right, there are definitely variations of empty. Start with, first of all, is the quarterback under center or is the quarterback in the gun, right? Because let's say it's 3rd and 1 and they come out and empty. The quarterback walks up onto center, there's a very good chance he's going to sneak it because the defense has been spread out and you're giving them the opportunity to just execute a simple QB sneak. Okay, just as one of many examples. Other variations of the alignment: 3x2, right? 4x1. You could have 5 wide receivers in the game. Literally. There are no running backs in the game, no tight ends. You get 5 wide receivers. Coast Guard Academy did that one year, 2016. I kept looking at the films over and over and over again. I said, yeah, the tight end's not in there. There's no running back in there. So that became our 0-0-E personnel card. Literally, 0-0-E. There are no backs, no tight ends. It's empty. Okay, I kid you not. So there are situations where 5 wide receivers will be in the game. There's a variation where there's 4 wide receivers and a tight end, no running backs in the game. Okay, so that would be 0-1 for us. No running backs, 1 tight end. And again, we see that. We're expecting empty. Okay, so these are very important coaching points that you got to relate to your players. And then how do they use running backs, right? The use of the running backs. Do they just line them up in wide receiver positions? Do they motion to an empty set out of the backfield, whether it's 2-back or 1-back, right? How do they do it? Is there a specific running back that when he's in the game, there's a chance he's going to motion out to empty? Right? Again, these are all things that as coaches, it's our responsibility to pick these things up through film study. Or if there's anybody out there that still has the opportunity to do any live scouting, you can pick it up then, right? So then, after we take a look at what the word empty means, as well as the variations of alignment, this is the big one. What needs defending? Okay, what do you need to defend against a certain opponent's empty set, right? So the first one is, do you have to defend the run? Is it an athletic quarterback? Or, like in our situation, we had a big, athletic, but big, powerful quarterback. He was pushing 220 pounds in 2016. When he was in empty, we'd run some quarterback power stuff or quarterback sneak. It wasn't so much that we thought we could get him on the perimeters as a speed demon or anything, but then that made teams kind of pack the box, which opened up the passing game, and he had a rocket of an arm. You see what I mean? So what do you have to defend? Is it the run? Number two, is it the pass? So in other words, are there go-to receivers? You know, especially when it's empty. Is there a certain receiver they like to throw to? So you know how to chart those things, whether it's in Huddle or whatever program you use. Keep track of an empty. Who is the go-to receiver? So who do you need to defend in a passing situation, right? C, do you have to defend both, the run and the pass? Right? 2018, Westfield State University had a dynamic quarterback athlete, fast, everything, not overly big, but fast and athletic at the quarterback, and he could also throw the football a country mile, right? So we had to defend both, okay? What kind of a scheme or protection do you have to defend? Like I said, in 2016, we actually had the quarterback power play. That's a scheme, so you have to prepare for that. Do they have a particular protection? You know, if it's a Texas set, do they keep the tight end in to make it a six-man protection? If there's no tight end, obviously it's a five-man protection. Okay, but is it big on big? Are there any double reads? Is it a full slide and they're just going to throw hot off the right? So that what needs to be defended? E, what pass concepts are they running? The two-man route pass concepts? Or is it a full field mesh concept in the middle or over-under in the middle, right? What kind of concepts do you need to defend? Is it a sprint out situation when ball's on the hash, right? And then finally, letter F, is it a situational? Is it a situation or situational need that must be defended? So in other words, is it the end of the half? Is it the end of the game? They like to go empty. Do they go up tempo in the last 2 minutes? So it's not necessarily the end, but their 2-minute offense, they like to go empty and they pick up the tempo. So that's what you need to defend. You follow what I'm saying? So these are all factors when you need to answer that question, and you do. What needs defending when your opponent is in empty? Okay? And it could vary. They come out empty versus they motion the back to empty. It could vary what you need to defend. So in this empty playlist that I'm going to be sharing with you, okay, we have 4 empty packages in this playlist. Okay, and it all goes back to this. What needs defending? Okay, I don't have one package that can defend everything, and I'm not so sure anybody does. And I don't think that we have too many packages for our kids to handle. We have to pick and choose. So the 4 packages that we have to defend empty, first is what we call exit. That gives us a 5-man box. Okay. The second is what we call mass. That gives us a 4-man box, and I'll go back to exit in a minute. The third is what we call buck, and that gives us a 6-man box. And then the fourth is we just call it college, and that's because of the way we name the pressures. It gives us a 6-man box, but it also is our pressure package and what we can simulate pressure just because of the alignment itself in college. Okay, so we may not pressure, but it's always simulates pressure just because of the alignment. How's that for a tease, right? So exit, as an example, five-man box, it could be you have to defend both run and pass. That was the case for us against Westfield State University in 2018. Okay? Mass, four-man box, situational 2017, playing Anna Maria, right? We're ahead 28-21, getting near the end of the game. They start to give us some empty, hurting us a little bit. But as the clock was ticking and they were running out of timeouts, we knew they had to throw the football. So we went to Mass after we called the timeout just to make sure everybody was set, because we had been going exit all that game. And we had prepared for both. The very first play coming out of the timeout, we went to the four-man box and we intercept the pass. Game over. Okay? Buck, six-man box. This one could be a lot of things. It could be you have an athletic quarterback, you got to stop the run. It could be you got to stop both. It could be because of the scheme of the protection. Okay, it could be because of the pass concepts. Right? It most likely we would not run Buck if there was a specific go-to receiver. Then we probably want to have more options. Okay? And then college, if we don't like the pass protect, meaning we know we can take advantage of a pass protection and or a run scheme, then we'll run college because we know we can take advantage of it with our pressures. Okay, so that's why we have the 4 different packages. You're going to like the playlist. So then the way we generically group the 4 different empty sets that we see, first one is we call it Toledo empty, 3 wide receivers on one side, 2 wide receivers on the other. So it's a 5 wide receiver formation. This could be a tight end. It could be running backs. I'm not saying it's literally 5 wide receivers. The formation is 5 wide receivers, and it's a 3-by-2, right? So derivations. They might stack these 2 receivers. They might bunch these. They might Tito 2 and 3, get them close to get right. So those are some of the derivations. Number 2, we call Texas empty, where there are 4 wide receivers in the formation, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's also a tight end. Again, it's 3-by-2. They might bunch these up again with the stack, or they might invert. Number 2's up, 1's off. That could be the case of, right? So the different things, but we just generically call it Texas empty. That's how we teach the players. And so then when you game plan, you can say, all right, this week's Texas empty. They like to kind of bunch it up over here, or they invert. Okay, you see what I mean? The third is when we start getting 4-by-1s empties, we just insert the word full, which means the 4. So now we go Toledo full empty. That means instead of being 3-by-2, it's now 4-by-1. Okay, they've really filled up one side. And this is how we present it to our players. Still 5 wide receivers, but now it's 4-by-1. And again, they could stack a few of these guys. 2 could be on the line, 1 could right, but it's still Toledo full empty to us. And then the 4th one is Texas full empty. Again, 4 wide receivers, but they filled up one side with 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, with, again, the different derivations of Texas empty. Okay, in this case, full. So as I go through, or as you visit our empty playlist and we show you exit versus these, Mass, Buck, and college versus all of these, you get a complete or a better understanding of how we choose to defend empty depending on what needs defending. Okay? So as I said at the beginning to my subscribers, I thank you. Non-subscribers, I hope teased you into subscribing. But to everybody, please reach out to me, Coach MJ Sullivan at gmail.com. Love to talk football with you. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank YouTube for providing this platform.